The voicemail icon glowed on Oliver's phone like a warning light in the dark. 13 messages, all from the same unknown number, all from her. His thumb hovered over the screen, trembling. The apartment around him had gone silent in the way silence became its own presence, thick and watchful. Outside, the Toronto skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows, indifferent to the terror crystallizing in his chest. He pressed play. The voice crackled through the speaker, distorted by static but unmistakably feminine. Urgent. "Oliver, it's me again. You have to listen this time. In 3 days, you're going to hurt someone. You're going to think you have no choice, but you do. You always have a choice. Please, baby, I know you don't know me yet, but I know you. I know the scar on your left shoulder from when you fell off your bike at 12. I know you sleep on your right side. I know you're listening to this in apartment 1407, and you're thinking I'm insane. But I'm your wife, Oliver. I'm calling from 8 years in the future, and I'm trying to save you from what you're about to become." The message ended. Oliver's breathing had gone shallow, rapid. His fingers were numb. 3 weeks earlier, the apartment had seemed like a fresh start. Oliver Chen had spent most of his 24 years avoiding commitment, drifting between sublets and shared spaces across the city. The graphic design work came sporadically, enough to cover rent and instant ramen, not enough for anything resembling stability. But his aunt had died, left him a small inheritance, and for the first time in his adult life, he could afford his own place. The building on King Street West was all glass and steel, the kind of development that had sprouted like chrome mushrooms across downtown Toronto over the past decade. The apartment itself was sterile in its newness. White walls, laminate floors in a shade of gray that pretended to be concrete. A kitchen with appliances that had never been used. The landlord, a perpetually distracted man named Richard, had handed him the keys with barely a glance, already scrolling through his phone as he walked back to the elevator. Oliver had liked the anonymity of it. No history, no ghosts. Just clean, empty space waiting to be filled. He set up his desk near the window, angled so he could see the CN Tower in the distance. He bought a plant, a succulent the girl at the store promised was impossible to kill. He downloaded a meditation app. This was going to be different. This was going to be the version of himself he'd been trying to find. The first voicemail came on a Tuesday. He'd been working on a logo for a vegan meal kit company, hunched over his tablet with his third coffee of the afternoon going cold beside him. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. He let it go to voicemail, assuming it was spam. Later, making toast in the kitchen that still smelled faintly of paint and new carpet, he listened to it. Oliver. The woman's voice was soft, almost tentative. "I don't know if you'll believe this, but I had to try. My name is Sophia. We haven't met yet, at least not from your perspective, but we will. And I need to warn you about something that's going to happen. Please, just be careful. Trust your instincts, don't ignore the signs." He deleted it, frowning. Some kind of scam, probably. Weird approach, but everyone was trying something new these days. The second voicemail came the next morning. "It's me again. I know you deleted the first one. I know you think this is crazy. But Oliver, you need to understand. In your timeline, you're about to make a choice that changes everything. I can't tell you too much. Time works in strange ways, but I can tell you this. Pay attention to apartment 1408, the one directly above you. Something is wrong there." This time, he didn't delete it. He played it again, listening to the cadence of her voice, the way she said his name with a familiarity that made his skin prickle. There was affection there, woven through the urgency, or he was imagining it. He was probably imagining it. That night, he heard footsteps above him. Not unusual in an apartment building, he told himself. People walked around their homes. But these footsteps had a strange quality, irregular and heavy, like someone pacing in distress. Back and forth, back and forth. The pattern went on for hours, finally stopping around 3 in the morning. Oliver lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, tracking the sound. When it finally ceased, the silence felt worse. The voicemails continued. Every day, sometimes twice a day. Unknown number. Always her voice. The woman in 1408, her name is Claire. She's afraid of him. You're going to hear something through the ceiling. Don't ignore it. Oliver, I'm running out of time. The convergence point is close. You have to act before Thursday. He became obsessed. He played the messages on repeat, analyzing every word, every breath, every pocket of static. Her voice had become familiar, intimate in a way that disturbed him. She knew things, small things, the scar on his shoulder, the way he organized his Photoshop layers, his habit of counting his steps when he was anxious. He tried calling the number back. It went straight to a disconnected tone, the kind that suggested the number didn't exist in any conventional sense. On the 4th day, he heard the scream. It pierced through the ceiling at 2:47 in the morning, a raw sound of pure terror. Oliver bolted upright in bed, heart slamming against his ribs. Above him, there was a crash, the sound of furniture overturning, then heavy footsteps, running, a door slamming, then nothing. He grabbed his phone with shaking hands, thumb hovering over 911. But what would he say? I heard a scream. People screamed for all sorts of reasons. Maybe she was watching a horror movie, maybe they were having a fight. Maybe he was overreacting because some stranger had been leaving him cryptic voicemails about the apartment above him. He didn't call. The voicemail that came the next morning was different. Her voice was fractured, desperate. Oliver, you heard it. I know you did. You heard her scream and you didn't do anything. That's what you do in the original timeline, too. You tell yourself it's not your business. You tell yourself you're imagining things. And 3 days from now, you find out she's dead. They arrest the boyfriend, but they never find enough evidence. He gets away with it, and you live with the guilt. It eats you alive, Oliver. It eats us both alive, because I spend every day married to a man who can't forgive himself for the silence. Oliver's hands were ice cold. He played the message again and again. The guilt she described, he could feel it already, a phantom pain in his chest. But this was insane. This was some elaborate prank, or he was having a breakdown, or something he couldn't explain was happening, and he was too rational to accept it. He went upstairs. The hallway on the 14th floor was identical to his own. The same bland carpet, the same energy-efficient lights. He stood in front of 1408, listening. Silence. He knocked. Nothing. He knocked again, harder. Hello, is everything okay? The door opened a crack. A woman peered through the gap, pale and hollow-eyed. She was younger than he expected, maybe 30, with blonde hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Can I help you? I'm from downstairs. I just wanted to check if everything was all right. I thought I heard something last night. Her expression shuddered. Everything's fine, thank you. She moved to close the door, but Oliver saw it then, the purple-green bloom of a bruise along her jawline, barely covered by makeup. Are you sure? He pressed. Because if you need help, I said everything's fine. The door closed firmly. He heard the deadbolt slide into place. Oliver stood in the empty hallway, his reflection ghostly in the elevator doors at the far end. He'd seen the bruise. He'd seen the fear in her eyes. and he'd let her close the door. The voicemail that night was the longest yet. His name is Marcus. He moved in with her 2 months ago. She tried to leave him once and he broke her wrist. She's trapped, Oliver, and she's running out of time. On Thursday night, they're going to have another fight. He's going to push her and she's going to hit her head on the corner of the kitchen counter. He'll panic and call 911, claim it was an accident. And maybe it is, in a way, but she'll be dead, and you could have stopped it. The woman's voice, Sophia's voice, cracked on the last word. He could hear her crying, small gasping sobs that made something in his chest constrict painfully. I know you're scared. I know you don't know what to do. But Oliver, you have to try. You have to at least try. Because if you don't, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering. And I can't watch you destroy yourself anymore. I can't live in a timeline where we're together, but you're not really there. You're just a shell, haunted by the woman you didn't save. Thursday came. Oliver called in sick to his only active client, claiming food poisoning. He spent the day in his apartment, pacing the same path he'd heard above him, listening. The building was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before something breaks. At 8:47 p.m., his phone buzzed. Another voicemail. It's happening now, right now. Oliver, please. He could hear it as the message played, the sound filtering down from above. Raised voices. A man shouting. A woman's voice pleading, the words indistinct but the terror clear. Oliver moved without thinking. He grabbed his phone, called 911 as he ran to the door. 911, what's your emergency? There's a domestic disturbance. Someone's in danger. 1408330 King Street West. Please hurry. He took the stairs 2 at a time, breath burning in his lungs. The sounds were louder now, impossible to ignore. Breaking glass, a scream that cut off abruptly. The door to 1408 was locked. Oliver pounded on it with both fists. Open the door, police are on the way. Silence fell on the other side, sudden and complete. Then footsteps, approaching. The door swung open. The man standing there was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of casual handsomeness that probably charmed people easily. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Can I help you? Oliver could see past him into the apartment. Claire was sitting on the couch, very still, her hands folded in her lap. There was blood on her forehead. Is she okay? Oliver's voice came out steadier than he felt. She fell, clumsy. The man's smile widened. But we're fine. Thanks for your concern. I called the police. The smile dropped. Something dangerous flickered across the man's face, then vanished behind a mask of calm. You did what? Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. The next few hours were a blur. Police, paramedics, Claire being led away, wrapped in a blanket, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. Marcus, handcuffed, arguing loudly about his rights. Officers taking statements. Oliver telling them about the voicemails, the warnings, the bruise he'd seen. They looked at him like he was crazy. One officer, a woman with tired eyes and gray threaded through her dark hair, asked him to play the voicemails. He pulled out his phone, opened the voicemail app. The messages were gone. All of them. The unknown number wasn't in his call history. It was like they'd never existed. I swear they were there, he said, hearing the desperation in his own voice. She told me about Thursday. She told me about apartment 1408. She knew. The officer nodded slowly. Sometimes we hear things, feel things. Intuition can be powerful. You did the right thing, calling it in. You might have saved that woman's life. They left eventually. Oliver returned to his apartment, shell-shocked and exhausted. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, beautiful and indifferent. His phone buzzed, one new voicemail, unknown number. His hand shook as he pressed play. "Thank you." Sophia's voice was soft, almost a whisper. "You changed it." The timeline shifted. She's alive because of you, and that means everything else changes too. Our future, it's different now, better. I can feel it already, like a weight lifting. I don't know if we'll still meet. Time is strange that way. But Oliver, wherever you are, whatever happens, thank you for being brave. Thank you for choosing to act. I love you. I've always loved you. The message ended. Oliver stood at the window, watching the city wake up around him. Somewhere out there, Claire was safe. Somewhere out there, in a timeline he couldn't see or touch, maybe there was a version of him that found happiness. A version that didn't carry the weight of silence and inaction. His phone buzzed again. He looked down, heart stopping. The message was from Sophie Chen. Not Sophia, Sophie. A message on a dating app he'd signed up for weeks ago and forgotten about. "Hey, I know this is random, but I saw you went to Ryerson for design. I did too, graduated in 2023. Small world. Want to grab coffee sometime? There's this place on Queen West that makes the best cortados." Attached was a photo. Blonde hair, warm smile, familiar eyes. Oliver's breath caught. He stared at the message for a long time, watching the cursor blink, waiting for his response. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, apartment 1407, a man who had heard warnings from the future stood at the intersection of what was and what could be. He typed, "Coffee sounds perfect. When are you free?" And somewhere, in a timeline that no longer existed, or perhaps had always existed or would exist, or had been prevented from existing, a woman who loved him smiled. The phone in his hand felt warm, real. The voicemail icon was gone, but the choice remained, echoing forward into whatever came next.
The scripted casebook remains open. Subscribe to the archive. Share the evidence. Leave your verdict below. Some secrets are better shared.